So 5 years ago, Nintendo had the idea to start a mobile gaming market, and already they're seemingly about to end it. They're pulling the plug on mobile games and moving on back to consoles, and their handheld being the Switch, which is a hybrid of both. And for some reason, they're just completely done with mobile gaming. And I want to talk about exactly what went wrong and why they didn't succeed as much as they thought they would, and what games should have been on the mobile devices instead of the ones that they chose. Now, before we get started, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you guys are new to stay up to date on all things Nintendo and everything coming in the near future. I'm sure Nintendo's dropping some info soon, so if you want to stay up to date on all that, make sure you're subbed. Miitomo was a quick tester game for Nintendo, and it was a free-to-play, pretty much Mii creator, just like Miitopia. It rose quickly and dropped even faster. About designing your own rooms and characters, it was a pretty simple game and didn't really do much outside of that. You put your wallpapers on your wall, put some furniture in your room, and it was kind of like a boneless Animal Crossing. And of course, it was free, and lots of people love free. If it's free, it's for me. It's kind of the motto that many people go off of, and especially younger audiences. But clearly, it wasn't meant to pop off and wasn't meant to be anything as huge as the next installment, being Super Mario Run. Super Mario Run was just that, a Super Mario Bros. Game in the form of New Super Mario Bros., and of course, it had a steep price tag, as Nintendo's first real big price tag slapped onto a mobile game being $10, which was a lot for an app. It's a simple 2D Mario side-scroller where you'll simply just tap the screen in order to get Mario to do what you want him to. And it was nothing more than that. Of course, the game was actually free at the start, but that's how everything starts off, because all the main gameplay and the meat of the game is hiding behind that $10 price tag. So if you want any more of the campaign and the story, you'll have to pay that, which is the only thing that I had fun playing, which was only 6 worlds with 4 levels in each world. And if you wanted to have any type of replay value at all, the only thing you could play was Endless Mario Run, which was just the recycled levels that you've already played over and over and over again, which really got boring. So the problem for Super Mario Run was the replay value, as it just didn't seem like there was enough to keep people coming back, and people eventually just got bored of the game. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was a free-to-play game with a couple of loot boxes that would cost $8 a month. It did about half as good as Mario Run, and it felt like a slightly better version of Miitomo and didn't click as much with the public, and this reason simply because of the fact that Nintendo fans haven't really had a home console Animal Crossing experience in many years, and they were still waiting on that to release, which it did a couple years later as Animal Crossing New Horizons appeared on the Nintendo Switch. But that wasn't until years later, so this felt just like a placeholder until New Horizons actually came out. So it kind of rose quickly and once again fell just as fast and didn't last that long at all. Fire Emblem Heroes has a pretty big fan base and probably still has one today, and it is pretty much the closest to one of its original sources as much, because it is still just an RPG turn-based combat grid system that we're used to seeing from the Fire Emblem franchise. It's free, but there is a Fire Emblem Hero Pass of around $10 a month subscription. Not much else to say about this game, that people still really like it. And I don't know as much of the details around this game because I never got around to playing it, but I'm sure people still have fun with it. But yeah, this game definitely did its job, and the only reason it slowed down could have been to the fact of the brand new Fire Emblem Three Houses game that hit the Switch, and that seems to be the reason why lots of these games are getting killed very quickly. Now we get into the meat of the apps, Mario Kart Tour. This had the most potential by far, but screwed players up pretty badly in my opinion. This game is free to play, but you only get one kart and one character from the start, and that's it unless you chip in some money. And if you do, it's all randomly generated based on what you get. So you have to pay for spins and you still get random characters, so you're not really paying for what you want. The game is constantly updated, but instead of adding more unique characters, it's the same cast with different clothes on. I kid you not, there's an Ice Mario that actually acts as a character and not a Mario skin. It's kind of ridiculous. It just feels like all this work that was going into this app should have been put into a brand new Mario Kart coming, and maybe there still is, we just have to wait. But I would love to see all these skins as character skins, and all these brand new characters actually put into a home console experience. This did the best by a long shot and blew all the other apps and games out of the water for Nintendo. And it's still being updated today, and I think a lot of people still are having a blast with it. It just bothers me with those price tags and how you have to pay for things with this crazy loot box system, but I'll get into exactly how this game could have been one of the greatest apps of all time if it just did a couple things differently, just in a bit. And we have Dr. Mario, which was one of the worst sales, but played like a typical Dr. Mario game. The only problem here is you once again have to pay for more turns or wait until the next day if you lose a certain amount of times, which just drives players away if they can't play the game that they downloaded. And for some reason, Nintendo decided to go with a new RPG IP game called Galia Lost or something like that, and it just didn't do well at all. In fact, it was by far, without a doubt, the worst selling RPG game for mobile, and it just kind of died immediately. I don't even know what Nintendo was thinking with a new IP when they just started mobile gaming. One of the major problems for Nintendo is that the best mobile games to ever release were free to play. Games like Pokemon Go and Subway Surfers and even Candy Crush are games that you can pick up quick, and they're endless with tons of fun, and they're free. Most importantly, they're free. The majority of mobile gamers right now are between the ages of 18 and 24, which means most of them are in school of some sort. In high school, personally, no one would play any type of mobile game that cost money. We were always playing the quick and free-to-play ones because we didn't have money to spend in our earlier years of high school. And the same with college, as college kids have money to spend on more important things rather than mobile games, especially considering the fact that most of us are broke college kids. So it was always best to have a quick free-to-play game that you can pick up in between classes, and especially considering the fact that Mario Run was $10, that was hard to dive into. So price tags a lot of the time scare players away, and even though Mario Run had a free-to-play in the beginning, lots of people got tired and couldn't do some of the fun stuff that hid behind that $10 price tag. And like I said before, if Mario Kart Tour was free-to-play and you could actually unlock carts and characters instead of paying for them, oh my goodness, it probably would have been one of the best, if not the greatest, mobile game of all time. Now let's get into what they should have done with the games. They should have covered more big IPs and made the games feel like they actually do in the series. If they're going to charge a price tag for a game, make sure that game actually has a good story plot point and an amount of levels to complete with replay value. That would be a great thing to get people back into mobile gaming. If you have to charge money, make it an actual game that you can play through from start to end. And one of these examples I thought of a really good mobile game they should have went with is WarioWare. It's perfect for quick pick up and play and move on with your day. All you have to do is hold it with one hand and tap the screen in order to cause things to happen within the minigames. You pick a character's set of minigames like everything else in the series and you go for the high score. It's incredibly simple and easy enough for anyone to pick up and play, and I think it would translate almost perfectly to mobile gaming. Come on. This just seems like it's something that should have happened, and the fact that Nintendo didn't go this route is actually mind-boggling to me. Rhythm Heaven is another one that would work just like WarioWare, but instead now you can put in headphones and listen to certain music-based tracks that go along with the game, so that way you can tap in rhythm this time. And I think that would work also extremely well, as most of the games only require one thing and one action from the player. So I think this would also be another great way to get Rhythm Heaven back up again, as it's been quite a while since it had its last original game. Next up, I thought of a top-down Zelda title, and it could be an original game, made from the ground up. Top-down Zelda games don't take too many controls, and everything can pretty much be mapped between an A and a B button and your control stick. And it's a pretty simple thing to do. If they make an original Zelda game on mobile and maybe charge a small price tag, people would flock to this just because it's a new Zelda game, even with a small price tag. The controls can be emulated buttons, and since it's a top-down Zelda, there shouldn't be too many problems unless you have problems with the shoulder buttons, but those can also go on the left and top right part of the screen. A 2D Metroid game should also work perfectly fine. If you build it from the ground up for a mobile device, I promise you the controls won't be too janky. I played tons of emulated versions of Nintendo games, including Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion, on my Android device, and I didn't really have too many problems at all. If there were any complications, it came from the shoulder buttons, just sometimes I would misclick them, but besides that, I feel like it worked perfectly fine and I was able to complete both games and 100% complete them from my mobile phone. Mario sports titles is also a good idea. In case there's some sports titles they don't want to put on home consoles right now, just throw them on mobile at the moment. Will this be the best-selling game for Nintendo on mobile? Obviously not, but I think it would work pretty well. Right now we have Sonic and the Olympic games coming to mobile, so I'm sure Nintendo can do a sports mixed style of game, kind of like the one on the Wii. And you could just have dumbed down versions of each sports that just require a little click at the finger or a little swipe on the screen or something like that in order to play games like baseball, golf, or even basketball. I think it'd be a lot of fun and people would like to do this, and even being able to play online against others would be a blast. Now last but not least, I thought why not go with Splatoon? Now I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. You might be stretching the controls here, but with a Splatoon game on mobile, it is very possible because we have games out already that kind of resemble this with shooters. We have mobile Fortnite and Call of Duty shooter games, so why not try it with Splatoon? Those games even offer a 100-person PvP Battle Royale mode in which you can play with other people online. So if those can support that, I'm sure Nintendo can do a simple Splatoon 4v4 custom game match. The point of all this is to say that Nintendo had so much potential with mobile gaming, and it's sad to hear that they're about to pull the plug on it already. There's so many things they could have done and even revived old classics such as Ice Climbers, F-Zero, and even Earthbound and gave them a chance to redeem themselves on mobile. And they could have used mobile as a platform to test these games out and see how many people would love playing them and to see whether or not if it's worth it to bring it to home console games. But there was just so much potential for real games to be developed for mobile, and it just seems like it never happened. And you would think most of the time would then go back to home consoles, but the Switch is still kind of low on original games, and we still don't know what's coming here in 2020. So hopefully we get some news soon, but it is a travesty that the mobile market for Nintendo couldn't have lasted longer than it did. But what do you guys think? Do you think Nintendo made the right decisions? Do you think these games should have been free that they put out? And do you think they should have covered more variety and more first-party IPs from the franchise? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Like always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya, guys.